Hello, hello, hello. I hope you can see everything okay. And welcome. Welcome to a live discussion focusing on how we how we as dabblers are generalists and what that means. And also, um, I'll be talking to you while starting a new piece using Japanese papers as a base. It's a mixed media piece that I'm going to be doing. And so I'm just going to talk as we as I create, which is which is what I normally do. So I'm just gonna move the speaker out of the way, and hopefully, if you're there, you will want to have some discussion, and we can just have a sort of a conversation. It's a little bit different with you texting and and me um, sort of talking, um, but we can make it work. So I'm going to love that. So being a generalist. Um, what that means basically is it comes from the idea that as dabblers we do a lot of different things, and as a as I call myself a professional dabbler, I have dabbled in making items since I was about 7, and I'm 60 now, and I do a lot of different things, and I don't ever get bored, but I don't always get everything finished. What I do is I enjoy the process of making something. And hello, Monica. Welcome back. I enjoy the process of making something and trying something. And if I enjoy it, I do more of it. And if I just enjoyed it for that brief period of time, but don't really feel any desire to do anything more with it, then I don't. So um, I, as a consequence, I have a lot of I have a lot of unfinished projects, but I also have a lot of finished projects that I've really enjoyed doing. Um, and I'm only sort of just revisiting this whole part of my personality in a lot of ways because I spent a lot of years focused on having kids and running businesses, and now I'm just sort of embracing this whole side of me that just loves to play with different things. And I have a lot of supplies to play with, so it's been a lot of fun. So today I'm working with, just before we get into the whole discussion, today I'm working with Japanese papers. And I'm using a canvas. I've chose a small one. What I really wanted to do, the piece that I have in my mind, is going to go on a canvas that's not any wider, but is much longer. I don't know if I can show this or not, but it's basically the same width, more or less, a little bit wider, but it's much, much longer. Like it goes from here. I can't really show you on this space, but it's, as you can see, it's sort of a lengthy piece. I think it's 18 inches, whoops, in height. Um, and I pictured doing a garden with it. But what I'm going to do today is just sort of use this piece, which is about 12 by 12, and I'm going to use some tapioca starch paste, which is this. Hey, Jensa. I'm going to use some tapioca starch paste, which is this, and I'm just going to put a little bit into a container. What I love about this stuff is it's already mixed. So you can just squeeze it on. And then I'm just going to take a sponge brush and yeah, and just put it on with put the papers on with that. And what I love about it is it'll help things stick and it doesn't distort the papers. So that's really important because a lot of papers can be distorted. And when you're using Japanese papers, they're not like exactly, some of them are more expensive than others. Some of them are very expensive. I won't be using those today. But some of them are, it's more expensive than, say, bond paper, that kind of thing. So, um, yeah, I'm just basically going to do a background. I'll probably still keep that idea of doing a uh, a sky and um, I don't know if I might do water here rather than a garden. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. So I'll show you some of the papers and stuff, and then we'll talk a little bit about the whole dabbling thing. so some of the papers that I have to choose from today. Now I have containers and containers of papers. So I'm just pulling out a few because I'm just making a base. So I lay them. Actually, I'm going to take this out of here just so I don't stretch the canvas. For those of you following my journey, which are both Monica and Jensa, yeah, the studio in 2 days being cleaned up. It's not going very well, but I'll get there. I will get there. So this is a Japanese paper. You can see how you can see through it, and it has this great design on it, which to me I thought would be really great for either building up clouds or building up water. So it's one of the reasons why I chose it. I have another blue one here that's a similar sort of a thing, but it's much more. You can see much more of the sort of the wave pattern going on. So I thought that'd be really good for water. And then I have this really fun, which I won't use today, but I have this really fun one that has like metallic flecks of silver and gold in it. Oh, that's right, the bottom one. So I have this sort of fun orange one that I thought I could use parts of that for like a sun build out maybe, or a flower head, or leading down the garden path kind of thing, or whatever. And then I have a similar sort of a thing in a white, which you can't really see as well here. Let's see if I can get it under the camera a bit better. Oops. Let's see if I've got something I can put behind it. Color on it. You can see that a little bit better. So it's sort of like little flower heads, little dandelion heads maybe. I can use that as a base for something and then just draw around it. So it's just something that's got some texture to it that I can sort of play with. So those are some possibilities. And then I have these ones, which I also love. And these are slightly, oops. These are slightly different. So this sort of reminds me of like a stormy sort of a day. And this one sort of reminds me a lot more of water. It's got more of the blue-green sort of thing going on. And then this one you could use for, you don't see it as well in the camera, but there's actually a lot more green to this than there is, or is equal parts green to blue. Let's see if I can change the coloring at all. You can sort of see it a bit better that way. Sort of on the edges there. That's really more the color of what it's like on the edge. So I thought that might be fun to layer into a water scene as well. So maybe what I'll actually do is start with this piece. I'll just take one of these out. And yeah, so while I'm sort of gathering these supplies, the different layers and stuff together. So what do you guys think about being a generalist versus being a specialist when it comes to dabbling? Not when it comes to brain surgery. Brain surgery, I think we all agree that specialist is where you want to be. When it comes to dabbling, first of all, do you consider yourself a generalist or a specialist? I'd love to know. If you're able to type back to me. Monica said a generalist. Jen said, would you think of yourself as a generalist or a specialist when it comes to dabbling? And Monica, do you embrace being a generalist, or do you kind of beat yourself up that you're not more of a specialist in some way, shape, or form? Because I've struggled with both of those ideas. Okay, so Jen just said, you know, probably specialist and she doesn't dabble in everything. Yeah, I am, and I know I dabble in more than most people. I get that for sure. Um, but I don't think of myself, I personally don't think of myself as a specialist in anything because I don't do the whole deep dive thing. I don't have a super micro focus on anything. I am I definitely go broad rather than deep, which is basically sort of what a generalist does. You know, a specialist will go deep. So if you think of a painter, for example, they might be a painter. They might be a you know just focused on acrylics. They might just be focused on, you know, maybe their area of specialty within that is they do the most amazing skies or the most amazing water scenes. Um, and so that's what their focus is. And whenever they do works, you can easily identify them because they've fine tuned their style, and um, you know that's sort of what they're known for. Um, what I love about being a generalist is the fact that, um, well, first of all, I can do a whack of different things. So, you know, I can create a painting. I can, you know, create a silk scarf. I can paint running shoes if I want to. I can, um, you know, make note cards or jewelry or whatever. So I find that that variety keeps me going. I don't ever get bored, so I love that part of it. Um, I think that as a generalist, as in a general sense, any generalist, not just really even in the arts, um, deals with sorry deals with also um, also deals with um, having like a lot of flexibility. So you know, it's nothing for me to be able to pivot. Sometimes when you get super focused and on one thing, it's harder to pivot to something different, and that works out really well in a number of ways, just in life in general, really. For me, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with this just as before I. So here I just took a this just happened to be a new paintbrush because it was the first thing I put my hand on. You can take a paintbrush of any kind. This just happens to be a flat one, and I'm just basically I'm gonna with this paper because what this paper is it's all of these different um, fibers all pressed down into one paper. But what I want to do is I want to actually pull them apart a bit. So I'm just going to I'm going to go a little bit further. I'm just going to take a piece off. It'll make it easier to work with as well. So I'm going to go over here. I'm just going to wet it going down the page. This is just water that I'm using. And as you can see, you might be able to see like part of my desk come up underneath it, which just tells me that I've soaked it well enough to start to tear it. So I think with everything, there's a happy medium, right? So yeah, it's great that I can pivot, but when I pivot too much, I lose focus, right? Just as if you're a specialist and you don't ever look up, you miss a lot of what's going on around you. Okay, let's see now. So you can see that this sort of just pulls apart. It gives you sort of this nice kind of feathered edge. just going to keep going all the way down here. And then what I love about this too is that when the water dries, there's no, it doesn't dry with any, there's not like a hard edge or anything, or it just dries plain. You can't tell that it was even ever wet, except for the fact that the edge is a bit more feathered. The part where I find I really have to add a lot of water is like down here where there's a lot of fibers all mixed. Like you can see how right here it's all a lot of fibers. And because they're longer, it's sometimes a little bit harder to pull them apart. So we'll see how this goes. Oh, well, that was nice and unexpected. There we go. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get this paper off the synthesizer. I'm just going to make some smaller pieces. Actually, I'm going to grab my canvas. Just see approximately. Okay, so I'm going to bring it around here. These are my exact measurements. It's like, yeah, okay, we'll just try it around here somewhere. Yeah, the other thing I find with being a dabbler, and I'd say one of the biggest strengths that I have recognized in myself, and you guys can let me know if you think this is true of yourselves as well, is the fact that I tend to bounce back a lot faster. I don't worry about, like, I don't spend a lot of time beating myself up over failures because I try so many things. I'm not as attached to the, it's not that I'm not attached to the success, but I'm not so hyper focused on it that if something doesn't work that I can't bounce back and then look at a problem from a different point of view. And that's probably one of the, in my humble opinion, one of the strongest strengths of any dabbler, of anybody who's a generalist of any kind. And it helps you not be afraid to try things. Like one of the things that I'd love for this channel to do is to have people not be afraid to try things, and have people throw ideas out to me of something that they would like me to try, and then I'll just do it live. And 9 times out of 10 there'll be all kinds of disaster moments, but there'll also be all kinds of beautiful moments. And that's what I find with any creative process, is I'm not focused on the outcome. I have an outcome in mind, but if it doesn't go exactly the way I want it to, it's like I just roll with it. Do you guys find that? Yeah, you bounce back. You like to try things too. Yeah, and Jen says Japanese papers are beautiful to work with. Just the feel of them alone, and there's so many kinds. I'm the provincial rep for the Japanese paper place, which is based in Toronto. And I was lucky enough to go to their shop there a couple of, I guess it was December of last year, and pick out a whole whack of papers and just look at them and feel them and find out some of the history about them. And a lot of them are made by hand. There are a number now that are made by machine as well. But the hand ones, you can just tell, it's like anything, right? You can tell the quality just by touching them, or by, in some cases, just looking at them. And I have one piece that I bought for myself, and I'm actually just going to frame. It's just a beautiful piece of paper. So I'm just going to frame it and put it on the wall. I'll show that to you one day. Yeah, so I've just got this small piece here, and then, so I could just take this piece and just, stick it on like that and then build up from there. But I really like this paper. I don't think I want to use it as the base paper. I think I want to use it in a layer. So I'm actually going to break it up into some strips and then layer it that way. Almost like waves on a pond, maybe. So I'm just going to keep doing this. The other thing too that I find, I don't know if you guys find this as well with sort of dabbling in, even if you're dabbling, you don't have to dabble in 20,000 different things, right? To be a dabbler, you could dabble in, a half dozen. You could dabble in, and very few people just have a single focus, really. You'd be surprised to learn that there are actually more dabblers in the world than there are specialists. Maybe you wouldn't be surprised. I was surprised just because the world tends to focus a lot of attention on the specialists. And I think if I had to choose between a team of specialists and a team to work with now, a team of specialists versus a team of generalists, I think I'd rather have a team of generalists because I think there's a broader base of knowledge there, and there's a broader way of looking at the world than there is of specialists. Having said that, the ideal team would have a combination of both, specialists and generalists, because I think that the specialists will put out ideas of things that that have sort of gone, they've taken to the next level, and then the generalists will run with that and iterate and think outside the box more so, and come back with ideas of ways to grow that specific idea that's put forth by this specialist. So I'm just going to do 2 or 3 of these just so you can start to see what they look like on the canvas. I'll grab a different brush for the paste, not a good brush. So, do either of you work with other? Like I know, Jen said you got clients, and Monica, you got clients. But do you work with? Have you ever worked with like teams of people? Whether currently or in a past job, perhaps, or do one thicker one, and then I'll stop there. On Friday, I'm doing a watercolor note card. You guys can do it with me if you're available, but it's like more of a tutorial than a just sit and watch me do stuff. Something we can do together. If you're interested, it's around the same time on Friday. Okay, so I've got these pieces now. And I love when I'm working with canvases, I love actually being able to, like these gallery canvases, because they're thicker, I like being able to actually wrap the work around them. And because this is a mixed media piece, like I'm not really going to be having all of the paper necessarily wrapped around it as much as I will when I start bringing in some paints with it and that kind of a thing as well. I'm going to do it this way so that you can sort of see a bit better. And grab another paintbrush. Go over to my. So with the grab this one because it's a cheap old. So it's really, I find it really good to keep some cheap brushes on hand, brushes that you've used over and over and over again. As you can see, this one's pretty. It's got paint stuck into it. But the bristles are still pretty good. So I need a small paintbrush. I'll use this. But generally speaking, I tend to like to use the foam brushes for the paste. Hey, TC. So I'm just going to literally just glob some of this on. So TC, would you say you're a generalist, or would you say you're a specialist when it comes to your work? Because I know you sort of have a skill set that, well, you have several skill sets, but I mean in your day job you have a skill set that they definitely depend upon. Yeah, this is basically as tough as it gets, guys. You throw some tapioca paste on, and then you layer on your paper, and then you throw some more tapioca paste on, and you can see that you can't see the glue, especially once it dries. You can't see the glue through it. Tricky one. Specialist career. A ton of creative pursuits, including being a chocolatier. Oh, now I'd love to hear more about that. I've dabbled a little bit in chocolate, more in terms of truffles and things. I was fortunate enough that when I was teaching, my mom lived by a baking school, and one of their specialties was, besides the baking, was making things like truffles and using chocolate and for sculptures and stuff like that. So I loved that. So tell me about being a chocolatier. Don't tell me, tell us. So do you do that now? So now I'm just so you guys know what I'm doing. I'm just putting some on the board itself, on the canvas itself. I'm just going to layer. And I don't care that I've got areas that are missed, because I'm going to go over this with some other papers as well. This is the one thing that I love about mixed media work, is that you can always go back and find ways to cover stuff up. Four feet. Wow. What was it? What was it you made that was 4 feet? That's crazy. Oh, nice. So was it for a show? TC said she did a showpiece with nature and flowers. Like, was it for like a competition type thing, or just like a gallery kind of a show? Or so the thing to remember with the Japanese papers is that you really need to make sure that they stick down. So even though I put some underneath, I always add a layer on top, partly because it helps to seal the work, and partly because it just helps to stick it down a bit more. And Jensen and Monica, what about you guys? Have you created anything that that you've shown or put into a competition, or do you create for others or just for yourselves, or? Oops. So TC said, it wasn't a competition, it was an opportunity to practice, to learn new skills. The showpiece lived in my office for 3 months before the guys realized it was actually chocolate. That's hilarious. And so did it get eaten ultimately? Or was there so much structure underneath the chocolate that it was it was hard to eat? Yeah, some of the things that you see like that people are making with chocolate is just it's absolutely amazing. And now, of course, we've got so many reality shows on TV. You can actually see them making stuff live on some of these reality shows. It's just incredible. Some of them, some of them, there's no way you'd ever eat because there's so much structure built behind them. Um, and some of them are just like, wow, that's actually freestanding. Like it's there's definitely an art form to it. I bet you learn so much. So much chocolate was on display, so it wouldn't taste good anymore. No, I guess not after 3 months. So, is there a particular kind of chocolate that you use in that? Monica did a poster once with a 3D model of Buckminster. Wow, that's crazy. 3D model. So that's kind of sort of a base that I can use for a bit of water. I could I don't know if you guys can see stuff just from that base part alone, but I can see like almost like corals and stuff coming up from the bottom here. I can see how you could have like, fish swimming in and out, maybe in this area here, maybe more of a showcase for, I don't know, a squid or an octopus or something sitting in here, or sea turtle maybe, or yeah, it does look like water and waves, doesn't it? Um, dark and milk and white for different elements. White is good for coloring, yeah, yeah, for sure. My favorite when I was working with chocolate, my favorite chocolate to work with was Calibo, but then it was really bad because you eat so much of the when you first start, then you get so sick of chocolate. and for and oh, thanks, DC. And then for years too, I did a not for years for a summer job. One time I did some temp work while I was waiting for my other job to start. And one of the places that I went to was like a Hershey chocolate factory. So you go at 5 a.m. and all you could smell was chocolate. It was crazy. Um, yeah, so that's sort of base using one paper, and then from there, I think what I'll do is go back to these ones that I showed you initially. Don't mind if you hear a crash. And I think I'm going to pull out. I missed these earlier, TC, but these are just some of the other papers that I've got. I've got hundreds of Japanese papers, but I just pulled out a couple of to start with. And I think I might take this wave one and build a little bit of that into it as well. So let's go into this and grab one. What time is it? 1:03. Okay, I'm trying to sort of keep these. Oops. Ow. These sessions to about 45 minutes. I'm still really testing a lot to see how they go. And then I'll just keep building this piece out as we go. Yeah, I think that this will work. So I put this here, and I'm not going to do this all the way around, but I might do it in certain sections. It's a little bit tacky still, so be careful. I think I can build that out a little bit. And have some of the others sort of work into it. So I'm going to try that. Yeah, and then next, I was saying to Monica and Jensa on Friday, I'm going to do some watercolor note cards that are really super fun and easy to do. That are good for any situation whatsoever. Like, you use them for birthdays, or you could use them for This one's going to be a little bit tougher to rip, even though because it's machine-made paper. So I'm just going to try to follow these wave lines a little bit and see if I can get something in here. Because I'm not starting at the base of the canvas, so I want it to, although I could have started the base and brought it up the side. That's an idea too. I'll try that. Are there things that you guys would like me to do a tutorial in at all? Something that you've either wanted to try or you want to do more of, or do you want to see how it's done? Or thanks, TC. We'll see how it all transforms at the end day, which might be, September. But oh yeah, I think I'm liking that a bit. How to prepare a canvas for oil painting or watercolor. Okay. Yeah, generally, so anytime, I'll tell you this much right off the bat, anytime you use a canvas, particularly for paints that have impurities, you want to seal your canvas first, and you want to seal it with a sealer, not just like a gesso. Gesso will help give you body and strength, but you actually want to use a sealer, because what will happen is the impurities within the products themselves. So like here, like this one, for example, I used a sealer ahead of time and I let it dry overnight. Well, actually, it's been dry for probably, I don't know, 3 months. Like I sort of do a whole whack of canvases of different sizes at one time and then just put them to the side. So they're already sealed. I can just grab something in the spur of the moment, which tends to be the way I want to work. Sort of did this in reverse order. just kind of stuck it on and then realized, oh well, I should take some off. But the yeah, you can buy different products on the market that'll seal your canvas, so that the impurities. Because what'll happen is over time the impurities will actually leach through the work and will come to the surface, which is definitely not good. Okay, let's see. Yeah, and I can. And there's different, there's all kinds of different brands that they all have their own sort of sealers. I tend to use either, generally speaking, Liquitex or is one of my go-tos because it's fairly inexpensive. So you can see how that just gives it a nicer, especially as I bring in more and more pieces of the papers and stuff. You can see how it sort of brings it a nicer look. Now I'm not going to stick that part down because I want to actually bring in some of these other papers down through. And same thing on this side. And so when it's hanging on a wall, because what I'll do is I'll create the piece and then I won't frame it. I'll just have it so that it can hang freestanding. And then what I like about that is that, if somebody's looking at it from the side, then they're seeing sort of a nice finished, work edge as well. So yeah, so then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to take another, 2 or 3 layers of the waviness and sort of mix them in through. And as the papers start to overlap and you get more and more layers, you'll start to see more and more things develop. And then what I'll do is I'll take, like I might draw, or I might take a 3D, or I might take a sticker, or I might stamp an image or draw an image of, say, like fish or coral or something, and then I'll have that peek through some more translucent plain papers that I may paint, that kind of thing. TC or Jensa, or if Jensa's, if you're still here, is there anything that you guys would like to try or have something, see something done? I'm trying to find out, I'm trying to, rather than have it all be all about, what I'm doing in the minute. I'd love to be able to show stuff that you guys might find interesting. Oh, the acrylic pouring. Okay. I can do that because I know it's become as a surprise or a shock, but my supplies are still out, so a lot of them. So I can definitely do that. See, so then I can just take this piece here. I think I'll cut this, just make this a bit wavy. Cut this off a little bit. And then you can piece, like I've sort of done this in strips at the moment, but I can piece it as well. Right? And the more layers you see on there, then the more you'll start to see. So this is like this is going to go on here, for example. Then you can see the ones coming underneath it. Then I can go back and I can create, white caps if I wanted to, or I could, or I might poke. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with this yet. Yeah, I think I'll just keep using this up here. And then what I'm going to do with this part down here is I'm going to keep some of this green coming through it. I'm going to mix some paints so that, because ultimately I want the deeper water to be a deeper color than the waves up here. So I might mix some white into this, like white paint into this as well. And, or I might just do layers of translucent paper on top of that, like white translucent paper, so it's not quite as deep compared to here. Oh, Jensen, you should see what I've got. So I have this area on the side of. We have virtually no grass by design. We took the whole backyard, and because we were having like wildflowers come up all the time, but like not in a good wildflower kind of sense. And so we took the whole backyard. We took all the sods out of it. We put down stone, and I built gardens like in and around that. And then I've got an area down the back that we're going to put like maybe a horseshoe pitch and a croquet area or something like that kind of a thing. And then, but at the side of the house against the woods, we left one area that has grass. And I've got our old platform that we used to have at the front of our house that we had temporarily when we were renovating the house. And so I'm going to use that to put on top of the grass. It's quite large. I'm going to put that on top of the grass. And then I've got a post that I used to have clothesline too, which is long gone. But the post is still there, and there was a post. Oh no, I took that out. No, it's a post that was for a fence that we used to have there, and the fence we moved up to the front of the house now. Anyway, we have this post there, so I'm going to take I've got the post. I bought the hardware this year, but it was too late in the season to get it all rigged up. So I've got a post that's coming. Oh, let me see if I can do this. So I've got a post that's coming up like this way. Then I've got another piece of wood, like a 2x6, I think it is, that I'm going to have come out this way. And then on the end of this post, there's like rigging that I've got, like using like hooks and eyes and that kind of a thing that I'll be able to put on the post here. And then I've got like really strong galvanized wire that I can put there. And then I'm building a cradle to put like paint cans in. And then I'm going to punch holes into the bottom of the paint cans. And then basically just do like hold it out here and then just have it do like a spiral sort of thing. So it'll go over and over dropping different colors of paints. So yeah, I'm gonna try that. That's my outside project, but that will probably won't be till like, well, here it'll probably be July. I might try to get the rigging and stuff set up in June. That's usually when we start to get a bit better weather. But yeah, definitely that kind of thing we can do. But yeah, inside I think there's all kinds of different paint techniques. And the other thing I want to try to do is incorporate. I don't know if I can do this or not. I'm sure I can. I know I can do it, but I don't know what it's going to look like. I'll incorporate things like alcohol inks and acrylic pour techniques together into one piece, just because I enjoy doing both of them, and a lot of them it's similar the way that things move. But yeah. So anyway, I will continue to work on this piece a little bit and show you guys in the Dabble and Do community what it looks like as I'm moving through it. I'll keep it fairly close to the top. Um, and yeah, so we had a little bit of a talk, TC. I think you missed most of it. A little bit of a talk about what it means to be a generalist versus a specialist, and how how I see being a generalist has a lot of positive attributes to it, like increased adaptability, flexibility, um, how we bounce back easier, resilience, um, and how we can take on a variety of projects at one time, that kind of a thing. So those are definitely some of the positives that I see about being a generalist. So thank you guys very much for helping me start yet another project. hopefully, hopefully I'll get it finished in some way, shape, or form, and I'll show you guys within the community. So thanks for joining me, and like I say, if you want to swing by and do watercolor note cards together, then the link will be posted, and this list of supplies, which you can get like in a dollar store. So thank you very much, and have a great day.